So, the title of my talk today is Just Say Yes, as opposed to Nancy Reagan's Just Say No. Love Nancy. Mine is Just Say Yes. Let's all say that together. Just say yes. What does that feel like when you say that? Good? Is it good? Or how many of you are out there going, I'd like to know what I'm saying yes to first. I'm not going to just say yes. I'm going to wait and hear. That's not a bad thing, but maybe at the end of this talk you might feel differently. So, Margaret's song. This is 2 weeks in a row. She sang this in Los Angeles last week, and I was like, yeah, we got to do this again. She sang this last week, and I just sat there in awe. Of course, last week it was a little bit different because Eric was sitting in the front row, and every time she said, bring me more of this, she looked at him and went like that, and I was like, this might be a little racy. Yeah. But now we're taking it in the universal sense. We all want more of Eric. So here's the lyric that I talked about last week and that I think you should all really listen to, look at. I'm surrendering to this unyielding bliss. Yes, universe, bring me more of this. So it's really not enough to just say, bring me more of this, because you got to actually know what it is you're talking about. Now, I'll go to the first part of this. I'm surrendering to this unyielding bliss. And because I am in day 12 of BODS, today's theme is surrender. You're not even in the program.
I know, I just
So today's theme is surrender. Surrendering. What does that mean? Surrendering. I'm surrendering to this unyielding bliss. There is something in you, something that you are, everything that you are, that is bliss, that is joy, that is love, that is success, that is adventure. Now, you may say to me, yeah, but there's something in me too that's a little afraid, or I'm not happy with what's going on in the world right now. Anybody? It's very hard to look at the world and say, yes, everything's going great. But that's the relative world. That's just because people are involved. That was a joke, but not really. Because people are involved, and with people being involved, we can take this unyielding bliss and turn it into catastrophe. But I don't put my focus on that. I see it, I know the truth. But in Margaret's song, it's yes, universe, bring me more of this unyielding bliss that I am. Not like something alien to me. And it's not, and here's the other thing, you do not need to change the world to change your bliss, to let your bliss out. And I think we think that, which is why I asked you the question, do you need to know what to say yes to? Well, I'm going to suggest that you live in a constant state of yes, not in the relative world, but bringing your absolute knowing of who you are into the relative experience of it. So, one of my favorite lyrics of Margaret's infinite lyrics in her song, she has so many songs. So E.E. Cummings wrote this. Yes is a world, and in this world of yes, live all worlds. E.E. Cummings, because he's a little bit obtuse. But yes, just start there. Yes is a world. Yes is the universe. The universe is a universe of yes. The universe does not know how to say no. Do you know that? The universe, energy, God, does not, boy, remember the old God that many of us grew up with, and maybe some of us are still struggling to get clear on? God was someone that said no. No, you will not do that because that's a sin. So we grew up with this yes and no, and then we have to make this paradigm shift to understand that the universe only says yes. Because the universe, frankly, doesn't care what we're doing with it. It just knows to be this unyielding bliss. It only knows how to do, how to be, how to love, how to expand, how to grow. And that's who you are. That's the essence of who you are. And when you get in touch with that, and when you're saying, yes, universe, bring me more of what I innately am, and I will take this and bring it to this world, that really needs the lesson to understand this. Because we're having way too many, I was going to say senseless wars, but I don't think wars need anything in front of it. We're just having too many wars. And we are having too much anger showing up in the world and showing up as, I just don't even want to go there. So our job is to take this unyielding bliss. So if yes is a world, an infinite world that I live in, a world of yes, it's always, always growing, always expanding, always saying yes. And here's the thing, many of you have been in classes, the law is always saying yes to you, no matter what you ask it. It only knows to say yes. So be very careful in what you're asking it to give you. And the second part, nope, not the second quote, second part of that quote. Yes is a world, and in this world of yes, live all worlds. The relative world, and I do want to address what's going on in the world today only in this fashion. The worlds that live inside the worlds, the experiences. Do you know that if we were to really look at everything that's going on in the world right now, and even though I feel filled up by this, I want you to know I'm not filled up by the sadness. I'm filled up by the overwhelming truth of this. If I were to look at everything going on in the world today, every person, every relationship, every mother that's holding a baby, every grandmother that sees the next grandchild, every aspect of life, those things that we put so much attention on are a fragment of the good that's going on in our world, of the joy that's going on in our world. The problem is we don't accentuate those. There's not a news station that's job is to show us all the great things going on in our world. And somehow we've evolved to that state of consciousness. And it's up to rooms like this, people like us, communities like us, to look at this and go, yes is a word. This unyielding bliss is who I am. And in the world of everything going on, yes lives all worlds. It's all worlds. And so next slide, E.E. Cummings said, I imagine that yes is the only living thing. That's all that there is. This energy, this creativity, this joy, this love, this adventure is all that there is, but we take our focus and put it over here. And we're kind of just dissing, and we're not supposed to dissing this thing called unyielding bliss. By a show of hands, how many of you would like to live one full day in the throes of unyielding bliss? Great. Okay, put your hands down. Who would not like that? Because I could point you to a different church. That was probably not politically correct to say, because all churches have something to offer. I'll leave it at that. So, y'all admitted it. So here's the deal. If you are willing to raise your hand in a group and say, I would love a full day of unyielding bliss. If you are willing to raise your hand and say that, then I am willing to say, then why aren't you doing it? And maybe you are. I mean, I only started with one day, because what I'm really looking for is from this moment through the rest of your life. Unyielding bliss. Unyielding bliss means it can't be stopped. You can't stop it with your yeah buts. How many of you have big butts? How many of you have... You won't. Oregon's, you're going to have to move around more in Oregon. You're good. So yeah buts. Yeah, Dr. James, but there's this, and you don't know my husband, and you don't know the world I live in, and my boss, and my job, and you don't know blah, blah, blah. What if we got rid of them all? We had a 7-hour advanced consciousness workshop yesterday here in this sanctuary. And it was right after the night before our evening of soul immersion. So this weekend for me has been unyielding bliss. The soul immersion, how many were at the soul immersion? Wasn't that, oh my God. David Flint, stand up, David. Just... David Flint and his bowls are Amazing. We're truly amazing. The vibrations going through this room were just stunning. And was it 2 months ago? He said, "Oh, I should learn to play the flute." Friday night, he played flute, and this room was bouncing off the wall. Just gorgeous. So yeah, unyielding bliss. That was amazing. Don't miss next month. And then on Saturday, 7 hours in this room, talking about advanced consciousness. What does that mean? It just means we are willing to look at our conscious minds in such a way that we use it to move beyond this stuff that we're looking at and seeing. Because we understand that the universe isn't that. What is that thing that's saying? Make plans, God laughs. It's like the universe doesn't care what we're doing with each other. The universe isn't going to care. This infinite intelligence isn't going to care if we blow the whole thing up. It's going to be like, oh, look, that happened over there. Well, moving on. We need to be less precious about that stuff and more precious about who we truly are. So I imagine that yes is the only living thing. That's why I said, what would it be like to live our lives saying yes to everything? Yes to everything. No matter what, not in the world of form, yes to what is coming through me. Yes to that intuitive. Don't you all have those moments where you're like, something's coming? I could jump right into West Side Story here. Could be, who knows, right? Something is coming. I don't know what it is, but it is going to be great. Can't get it out of my head now. And I'm good. So something is moving through me at I would say an alarming pace, but it's not alarming. At an amazing pace that's saying there is so much more. And I got to tell you, 7 hours in a room with the minds that were in this room or online with us. There was a moment I was standing here and we had erased everything except this energy. And I was like, someone asked me a question, I was like, I have no idea what we're talking about at this point. I really went there. I was like, remember that moment? We were all like, what are we talking about? And how do we take what we're talking about that we don't know what we're talking about into action? And we just got quiet, and then I got it. I was like, the reason I don't know what I'm talking about is because that type of an understanding is experiential. And we are looking to feel life more and stop freaking making it all make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It has to feel good. How's that sound? Right. Margaret is definitely on board. Okay, so now, with that in mind, my next quote is by Tina Fey. Oh, wait, what happened to the Tina Fey quote? Go back. Oh, where's the Tina Fey quote? Oh, it's not in there somehow. Okay, here we go. Tina Fey, she says, say yes. Oh, and it was a picture of a car on a mountain teetering, about to fall off the edge. And it says this. Tina Fey says, say yes, and you'll figure it out afterwards. And that's something that's really important to get. You know what? All you pragmatic people that not you, Marcy, that have to have everything in alignment before you do it, you know what happens? You never do it. Because everything has to be in alignment. You have to be sure it's going to work out. Do you know what it'd be like for an actor to never go anywhere unless they're sure they're going to get the job? They're not working because you're not going to the audition because I can't be sure. I remember at one point when my agent said to me, he said, you know, at this point in your career, you're offer only. And I was like, what? He said, you know, if they want you, they offer you the job to you. They know who you are. They don't need to audition you. And I thought about it and my ego went, oh, great. And then as I lost all these jobs, because, you know, somebody being told, a director saying, yeah, he's offer only. Oh, good. Who else do you have? Then I started to audition again. But that's the whole point of this, what Tina says. Say yes, figure it out as you're doing it. I have always done that. I've talked here before about that show I did, Mirette, where I was a high wire walker on a tightrope, and I told them I knew how to do it. I hate to say this to actors, but always say yes. If they ask you, do you know how to do this? The answer is, right, Al? Yes. Do you know how to ride a horse? Yes, I got one of those once. and I had to ride a horse in a little film. And I was like, oh my God. It took me forever to even figure out how to get on the horse. Forget riding it and acting simultaneously. But I said yes, and I got the job. And I figured it out as we went along. And it was a terrible little movie. but I learned how to ride a horse. So how many of you say yes before you know the outcome? Every hand should go up. It is time for us to throw caution to the wind and say yeah. And here's the deal. You also know when to say no. Why? Because you have an intuitive understanding. And guess what? You're still saying yes. Because every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to yourself. So you're always, always, always saying yes. Okay, our theme this month is fun. So I'm going to ask you to say yes to fun all month. That means you need to find, it was so funny. Some of the people in Bodge, they're like, that was the thing. Today you have to have fun. And I got these emails. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. And you know what I wrote back to one of them? You are in the exact right place. Because you need to know what fun is. We get to a certain point in our lives, and some of us are like, what is it to have fun now? I've done this for so long this way. It's time to mix it up. Right, Missy? You're going to mix it up because you're going to Croatia. Yes. Somebody told me this week, they said, Missy just signed up for Croatia. I was like, awesome. Good for her. Yes. So fun. How are you going to have fun? So give me my next slide. Oh, I know what it is. Go back. So, before I go to my next slide, I had wanted to show you all that contributed and what our fun was in Guatemala. So I wanted to show you some pictures from Guatemala. So give me that next shot, Lori. That painting is a painting that my daughter Nora painted in 2017. That was her last summer there. But boy, they had so much fun in that room, just painting things. And that room, the following year, since she made her transition, they turned into an arts center with her portrait. And so it's now the Nora James Art Center. So the next picture, we'll just fly through these. So this is what it looked like when we get there. That is the nicest part of this entire compound. Truly. And it's hot and sticky, and these kids like barely have shoes on, and their showers are not mandatory, I don't think ever. But they are just the most fun-loving, excited children. Go ahead, Lori. Look at these faces. Next face, next one. And there's a fun-loving child. That is my husband. This was his first year going there, and he was just like, he said, I couldn't believe what you were telling me, but yeah, I totally get it. Going on, this, Eric Borks and Margaret's daughter, Rachel, painted there. She was there with us on that summer of 2017, okay? This, they were doing portraits, and they were supposed to be doing portraits of people, and I saw this one, and I was like, oh my God, that's great. I said, that is so cool, and I knew he was trying to do a portrait, and do you remember my story of when I was trying to do a portrait in a spiritual retreat, and I drew a picture of an elephant, and it was a self-portrait? Yeah, but I'd never heard self-portrait when they were telling me. So this kid does this, and he shows it to me. I was like, that is so beautiful. What is it? And someone is interpreting, of course. And he goes, it's you. Bright red, and yeah, all that energy. I know. I was like, wow, I see myself. Yeah, so beautiful. And he was so, look at that one little eye. He was so excited to show me my portrait. And I told him I'd love to take that home and frame it. And he said no. So I did not get that. Yeah. I think he loved it so much, he was like, I'm keeping this. Okay, next one. And there's not another one? Okay. Well, there was another one, which was, I think some slides slipped out when you uploaded it somehow. So there are all these other pictures of the kids and other pictures and other portraits and stuff they were doing. Okay, that was a commercial. Back to my talk. Go on, Laurie. That's it? Oh, then you dropped all the slides somehow. Okay, so moving on. Now you don't get any more slides, you just get me talking. Okay, so Katharine Hepburn said this. Say yes. Nope, that was Tina Fey. Katharine Hepburn said this. If you obey all the rules, you'll miss all the fun. But she probably said, if you obey all the rules, you'll miss all the fun. That was good. That's pretty good. Yeah. So that's part of this today, part of this talk today. I'm not a rule follower. I understand, there are rules that are for our safety and for our health. I follow those rules. But rules that are just arbitrary, I'm not good at that. I'm just not. I think we are here to forge our own personal journeys. And sometimes you need to break the rules. And as Catherine said, if you obey all the rules, and here's the thing, she was a rule breaker. And because of that, became the great Katharine Hepburn. Because a lot of times when you follow the rules, you are following someone else's idea of what something should be. And only you can know what is yours to do or be. And that's all part of having fun. So, the rules, by the way, are changing. The rules are changing. Remember, anybody grow up Catholic? Remember when they told you that you could eat meat on Fridays? You're like, what? Now I can eat meat on Fridays? All those mortal sins I committed? And now it's okay? Yeah. Kind of makes no sense, does it? Yeah. So, the rules are changing because we are growing, we are expanding, we are changing every single day. The quantum field is constantly changing and moving on and growing. So don't get stuck in the rules of yesterday. Don't get stuck in your own rules of yesterday that you put upon yourself. Be willing to allow things to change for yourself. And last but not least, Ernest Holmes said this: life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Pretty simple, isn't it? So, what are you going to be willing to think into your life moving forward? Are you going to say, yes, I can't go back as far as Margaret when she does that thing and she goes, oh, and still manages to sing? Yes, universe, bring me more of this, meaning bring me more of me, my true, authentic, fun-loving, adventurous, sexy, passionate self. Bring me more of this, and then I will have the courage to take that out into this world. That's our charge for this month. Fun, 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 and no one is taking the T-bird away. Namaste.